started.
Yes.
Hey guys.
So we do you want to tag? Yes.
Yeah, you do. I already tagged you.
Oh, you did?
I was proactive.
Behind the times. It's the Ann and Shakti show again.
So we actually got really good feedback on our last video, and people were like, do more, let me know when you're doing more. So
here we
are doing more. And we were just talking earlier about how we complement each other so well. Yeah. We have very similar tough love.
Yep.
But we complement each other really well. So I was doing a video actually in my membership, my group coaching membership, about your willingness to get uncomfortable. And I ended up voxering Shakti. She was at work that day, and I was like, girl, we need to do a video because she and I both like dive into uncomfortable situations, and we're like, let's see how uncomfortable we can get to see how far we can grow. And so this is an area that I was like, we need to talk about this together because
I mean, I think it's well known that your comfort zone it's a very nice place. It's a very cozy place, but it's definitely not a place that you grow in. It's not a place from which you go beyond the level of experience that you have in this current moment. So if you're someone who desires to have an experience other than the one you're having right now, whether that is becoming a parent when you're not a parent, owning a business when you don't own a business, starting a new job, moving, starting a relationship that you don't currently have,
selling all your shit and hitting the road,
getting on the road, you're going to have to be willing to get uncomfortable. By design, your willingness to get uncomfortable is actually what's going to get you where you desire to go. So when she brought it up, I was like, I feel like that's like the theme of my life, our life. Really, like a massive theme in our life has been being uncomfortable and doing the things that are hard, quote unquote, and then evolving from them. And granted, when we started doing that, it wasn't like we were like, we're going to go do the hard things and we're going to evolve, like no one says that. No one is excited about being pissed or hurt or sad or, getting uncomfortable. But I think what I have discovered in that journey is that every time, it's still hard, but you become so much more resilient and you have so much more awareness. And so you know how much you grow every time you do it. And it's just so valuable.
The other thing to keep in mind when it comes to diving into areas that make you uncomfortable, and this is something that, Shakti and I complement each other. We've been friends for a really long time, and we really challenge each other and reflect back to each other. And in any moment where I have really been struggling on my own personal journey, and I've reached out to her for her support, she's always reminded me, and it's so true, she has always said, the reason you're going through this is because you are meant to teach it on some level. Yep. And that's exactly, so it's like when I'm able to shift my perception in that way, I'm like, okay, I need to go through this because there's going to be someone who I interact with who needs what I've been through. And it's 100% true. Anytime I've shared about my divorce, I've connected with people who needed help going through their own shit. Anytime I have had any kind of failure. And she and I have gone through so many similarities when it comes to divorces and breakups and relationships and business and health issues. We've had it all. And so, but it's because of that we're able to show up and serve on such a deep level. We wouldn't be able to serve if we hadn't been through that.
Yeah. The quote, and I can't remember, I think it was Michael Beckwith who said this, if I'm quoting correctly, but there's always a message in the mess. Your mess is a message. It's the perspective that you're missing. If you don't see the message in the mess, then you're not there yet. You haven't reached through the mess. And the thing about having free will, right? And the thing about being incarnated and having the ability to make choices and to design your experience is that you have the ability to decide whether or not you're going to go into the mess and find the message or not. It is completely up to you. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's not like if you go in and find the message, you're on the good list. And if you don't, you're on the coal bag list. That's not how this works. There's no judgment on that. Your life is your life, and you live it the way you're ready to live it. But there is always something out of that. And every painful experience I've lived, and I've been living very painful ones since a very young age, from immediately coming into the world and being born with a condition that had a very high mortality rate, and being very ill and having to be in and out of hospitals a lot when I was very young. When you experience hardship and you choose to see it with the lens of, what can I get from this? What can I take out of this? How can I take this discomfort that I'm feeling right now and learn something from it? What is it trying to tell me? To me, asking those questions has been life-saving, literally life-saving. It's allowed me to reframe almost every single experience. If not every single experience I've ever had that I was like, this is terrible.
This is the worst experience of my life.
Worst.
But thank God I'm going to grow from it.
It's just so true. I mean, divorce is a very good one. I mean, we've both lived through divorce. They were harrowing divorces. It wasn't like everybody was very amicable and we walked away from this.
Well, and even, I'm sorry, but even in the best case scenario, because in my situation, like, both of us were ready to get divorced. We wanted to get divorced. We realized that we really married the wrong partner. So that's like best case scenario when both people are like, yeah, we totally agree on this, and we're just, and even then it was horrible because it's heartbreaking.
It is.
Because there's a loss, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that when you end some sort of relationship, it's not just the relationship that you're losing. It's you're also having to grieve the loss of the vision that you created with your partner. Because when the relationship ends and two people separate, the vision has dissolved. You can't just, I've tried this, doesn't work. You can't just take the vision that you had and then plug in a new person. Doesn't work that way, So you lose everything that you thought you had been working towards.
And that's true for everything, you guys. That's true for when you lose a business, for when you lose a job, for when you lose a child, for when your child is going through something difficult. A vision that you had for your life becomes destroyed, dismantled right before your eyes. And those are the moments that are so ridiculously painful to live through. And it's even painful to like be in your body while you're living through them. Like disassociation, the reason disassociation is a thing is because you have the capacity to feel something so painful that you want to leave, you want to separate, you want to get out of the body. But what we want to express to you guys is that your willingness to be in that moment and in that feeling of difficulty, of anxiety, of challenge, of depression, of concern, of whatever the feeling is that you're having that's really difficult for you to sit with, your willingness to be there and kind of unpack it and develop a curiosity for it. Develop a curiosity for this very painful emotion and be willing to explore it without judging it. That's so important, that you explore that painful experience without the judgment component. And what you can turn from that it's what propels you to success. I mean, I think that is the key to success, which is why I titled my talk what I did. Because I don't know a single entrepreneur or a single very successful person who has not had the willingness to get curious about their difficulty or about their challenges. Currently experiencing it right now.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Sunita.
I think one of the things that we've been taught, which I think is an extreme disservice to our overall evolution, is that we've been taught not to truly feel bad, undesirable emotions. There are no good or bad emotions, so that's why I did one air quote.
One. I'll do the other half, so then we have two.
But we've been taught that so for instance, when I was going through a really emotional breakup and I was crying a lot, I had family members who were like, you're crying too much, you're depressed, you need to go get your thyroid checked, you need to go, be on meds. And it's like, we've been taught to not feel the feelings, and without truly allowing yourself to feel those feelings, you can't really change and evolve.
Move.
You have to be able to feel what it is so that you can move through it.
And this is how people get trapped in shitty marriages, in shitty jobs. You're just so afraid of feeling, of really feeling. And what you don't understand is that by staying in a place, that doesn't feel good to you and avoiding the confrontation with that feeling, with that discomfort, you are literally killing yourself. Energetically, you are slowly killing yourself. And you're going to wake up one day and it's going to be a burn. It's not going to be like, this is uncomfortable. It's going to be like an explosion of shit everywhere because you've prolonged the inevitable. If you've lived through this, please give me some hearts. Like if you've lived through something where you've hung on way too long and then it turned into the shit show of your life. There we go. They're flying in.
Yep.
Because you know what we're talking about.
Yep.
You know what we're talking about. It happens. And so there comes in the wisdom to know that it's the hearts are flooding both of our phones. Right? The wisdom to know that your willingness to be uncomfortable is the turnover on that, the other side of that is like huge progress, you know, whereas just kind of dying a slow, painful death.
Well, because one of two things happens, right? So either people don't want to experience the pain of loss, right? They don't want to get into that uncomfortable place of leaving a situation, so they just kind of numb themselves out and stay somewhere, or they bolt and run. I was a runner, so actually I've done both. I've stayed and I've run, right? Well. So it's like, and so anytime you experience the slightest bit of pain, you run because you label it as bad, and it's don't realize that experiencing that and really taking a look at what is the opportunity for growth here? What is the opportunity for learning?
Yeah, that's huge. That is so huge. This desire to avoid pain at all costs.
Dangerous. It's
so bad, you guys.
It's so dangerous.
I love all the hearts flooding my screen, by the way. Thank you, guys. This desire to avoid pain, even from like a medical perspective. Like, we medicate so fast. We have no tolerance for being uncomfortable. And you have to think about that. You know, my favorite quote, how we do anything is how we do everything. So if we're overly medicated in an area of our life, we're going to over-medicate in every area of our life. And this ties into our addiction talk. Because you guys...
If you haven't watched that, go back and watch the addiction video.
Because you're using food as medication for difficult feelings. You're using sugar as medication for difficult feelings. It's no different than popping a Valium or taking a Xanax. You know, it's the same shit. It just looks different, you know? And one is frowned upon and the other one's readily accepted. And that's what happens when you're fighting the tension of discomfort in yourself. When you don't want to feel the feelings of uncomfortness, you medicate. That's like completely normal behavior. We all do that.
Yep.
We protect our own pain, and interestingly enough, the perceived pain we may cause other. Yes, and so we project, right? We're like, okay, so if I do this, then that person's going to do this, and then that person's going to do that, and you're like trying to predict everyone's future when you're not like a psychic in most cases. I am, but that's different. You're trying to predict the paths that other people are going to take, and you're trying to predict their free will, and that's incredibly harmful. I mean, that's harmful to the max. You have no idea how someone's going to respond. And furthermore, it is not your responsibility to decide how another person is going to respond to your truth.
No.
That is not your job. That is not your job.
Well, this is also why I tell my clients they're going to experience pain. When you decide to show up for your life and work through your shit, it's not going to be butterflies and rainbows. It's just not, nope. Right? So there's going to be pain involved. And I always tell my clients, it is not my job to prevent you from hitting your rock bottom. We are all meant to hit at least one rock bottom. A lot of times we hit multiple rock bottoms. Every single one. Do we get points for hitting every single one?
I don't think we do. I think we're overly ambitious. That's part of our problem.
We're like, which rock bottom do I get to hit this year? No, but I tell my clients, it's not my job to prevent you from hitting your rock bottom. My job and Shakti's job, we do similar things, but in different arenas. Our job is to hold a safe place in order for you to grow. Our job is to hold a high vibe space in order for you to grow.
Absolutely.
But our job is not to protect you from hitting the walls.
No.
We'll help pad them.
We'll pad your walls. So actually, my cousin just said something really brilliant. He said on my live chat feed, he said, no pain, no gain. And let me tell you how that is a saying. It's used in like fitness and exercise, and that's like bullshit, number one, for fitness and exercise. Because if something is hurting, y'all need to stop. And don't keep working out from the fitness coach. Okay? It's not, if it's sore, you can keep going. But if you got a knee pain or your elbows are hurting, you need to stop.
If you have a knee pain, roll out.
Yes. Well, don't exercise on pain. But when it comes to this subject matter, it's actually quite appropriate. It's quite appropriate. You can gain so much from your pain. It's that fear of pain actually that keeps people from becoming business owners. So part of like my job is team mentorship, and I mentor coaches who want to do what I do with fitness. And the number one thing that stops people from saying, yes, I want to do this business is not the business. It's the fear that they won't be able to do something, or the fear of getting uncomfortable, or the fear of having to learn something new, and I'm like, that is what keeps people from a successful life. That is literally what keeps people from having a bomb-ass life, is your fear of the discomfort. Not even the discomfort, not even the reality of the experience. It's your assumption that it's going to be a terrible experience.
And whatever you assume is what you will experience.
Boom!
Law of assumption.
Mic drop. Neville Goddard drop.
Law of assumption, that's what it is.
Boom. Boom. Blowing up your screen. I am hitting on all the points today. Yes, this is taking you to church. Turn it into a Sunday service. We'll start jumping up with the spirit soon. But this is everything. I mean, if you can just take one thing out of anything that we've taught, it's to dive into the discomfort, dive into where you're afraid, dive into why you're afraid to lose the weight, you guys. First of all, this is really good with fitness, actually. This is really appropriate. A lot of times why people do not lose weight, like they know that they would feel better if they did. They know that this is a desire of themselves, but they don't want to do it. They're like literally afraid of who they're going to be. Like they're afraid of going through the experience of discomfort to transition into who they want to be. They're terrified. And it's uncomfortable for them. It's
that, but it's also not being able to, like, you can't necessarily see the end goal, right? Or you can't see the end picture. And it's in fitness, and then it's also, like, for instance, for those of you on Shakti's feet who don't know my story, in July, I left Chicago and sold all my shit, and I hit the road, and I've been living on the road for the last, 7-8 months.
Yeah.
And it has been incredibly terrifying. And there have been moments where I have frozen in fear because I couldn't see the next step. And it's like when we've been taught that if we can't see the end goal, that therefore we shouldn't do it, that we have to wait until we have all the information, and life doesn't happen that way.
Wait till the timing is right.
There is no right timing. It's bullshit.
That is such a lie. Oh my God. You guys, that is a bullshit story. There's no such thing as a right time.
No.
If you are waiting for the right time to do anything, you are literally in like magic land. Like unicorns are there.
It's always the right time though, because also A, you create your reality, but B, things are constantly changing based on your assumption, based on how you're feeling, based on whatever. So for me, like when I'm looking at where I'm wanting to go, I have a loose plan. I have a loose idea. I'm not like just driving out with no map. Thank God for GPS. But I'm like, I have an idea, but I'm also open and I'm willing for something better to come along, because here's the other thing. So you have your human self, you have your ego, but then you also have your higher self. The higher self sees all, and it's our job, each individually, to open that communication, right? To trust that if something is not working for us, it does not make it bad. The other thing that I taught the other day was that when you have a vision for where you're wanting to go, right? You have this idea for where you want to live, or the relationship you want to be in, or the job you want to have, or the business or whatever. You can't get from where you are now to where you're wanting to be without some sort of pain, because you have to become the person who is capable of receiving and holding on to what it is that you're wanting.
Yep. You have to become. And actually, okay, so Christian, my cousin is like dropping truth bombs up in my feet right now. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for helping on. So he said they're used to meeting people to the life they already have, and change is scary for some people. Change is scary for all people. Let me just throw that out there. Just because we've done it.
It is not comfortable, guys. Uncomfortable is in the title. Your willingness to get uncomfortable.
It's scary for everyone. Everyone. That is our nature. That is like lizard brain protecting you from bad things happening. No one likes to strike out on their own because that goes against our very prehistoric behavior. We are pack creatures. We do not want to strike out on our own and do shit.
Well, here's the other thing. Anxiety and excitement feel very similar in your body.
That's true, too.
And so a lot of times when we feel that feeling, we're coming from our ego place, or our ego mind. And so immediately it's like, oh, this is bad. This is uncomfortable. Therefore, so you feed into the anxiety. Yes. You could also choose to just notice the feeling and then start to feel into the excitement. Shift it in your body from anxiety to excitement. And what I've learned is that because of that, when I start to feel anxious, because I also struggle with anxiety, but when I start to feel that anxious feeling, it's a sign to me that I'm on the right path. It doesn't mean that I'm going in the wrong way because I'm afraid. It actually means that I'm headed in the right direction because I'm afraid or because I feel uncomfortable. It's like diving into it.
Tiffany, you two together could rule.
We could.
We should be president together.
We are on it.
We should be president.
Co-president.
Co-presidents of the USA. Vote for us. I'm going to make t-shirts.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to make t-shirts. Thank you, Tiff. They start to adapt eventually. Oh, Isis just hopped on. Hi, girl. Forgot to say hi. Yeah, so here's the other thing. We're speaking to people specifically who are not happy with an area or many areas of their life. If you are content where you are and you are like good, like this video is not for you. This video is
you can just click off and watch another one.
Well, if you want to watch this, you can stay, but we've got other ones. But really, we're talking to people who are sitting in an experience that they have long since not wanted to be in, and they know where they want to be. They know what they want to feel like, even if they don't have the clear details of like, I want it to be like this. They know the feeling they're reaching for, right? Like, I want to feel free. I want to feel joyful. I want to feel connected. Becoming my president. You know what you'd like to feel, and so if you're in a moment in your life where you're not content with an experience that you're having, leaning into number one, what do you want to feel? Okay, so if you're not happy, what do you want to feel? What is the feeling that you desire to have? And let the feeling guide you. You don't need to have all the specifics laid out. Like, I'm gonna go here, and then I'm gonna do this, and then
that shit's not gonna work anyway.
And then
it's not gonna work.
You have a loose plan. Take Anne's advice. Have a loose plan, but lean into what you want to feel, because your feelings, they're an emotional guidance system, okay? And this is taken directly from Abraham Hicks. If you don't know who Abraham is, look it up. Amazing stuff will change your life. And Abraham talks about your feelings being an emotional guidance system. When you're having an emotion, it is communication, literally. So when you're in a point in your life where you're discontent with something and you're starting to feel the discomfort of like, I'm not happy and I want something different, but then you think about the new thing you want and you start to get really uncomfortable, it is communicating to you that there's work to be done. There's work to be done. Go into the feeling, go into the discomfort, go in and be curious about what's making you uncomfortable, but don't dismiss it like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, peace. Like,
because here's the thing, it's going to come find you anyway.
Yes. Lesson number 52, because we've taught like 50 of them by now.
So let me just expand on this a little bit. You can ignore your shit. I talked about this the other day. You can ignore your shit for a while, right? You can ignore your shit and say, you know what? I don't think I need to face that right now. I don't really want to face that right now. Good luck. Good luck, because what's going to happen is that universe, God, source, spirit is going to eventually force you, not as punishment, but it's going to make your outer surroundings more and more uncomfortable because you are disconnected from yourself. You are disconnected from the truth of who you are. And the longer you spend being disconnected from yourself, your outer world reflects what you're feeling within, right? So your outer world reflects what's going on within you. If you become more and more and more disconnected from yourself, your outer world is going to reflect that. And your outer world is going to be increasingly uncomfortable. And you're going to be knocked to your knees, surrendering, saying, I give up, show me what to do. Yes. We have been there multiple times.
Because we're stubborn as fuck.
Stubborn.
We are, this is why we're such good friends. You and I could literally, like, pull down a wall with our heads.
Oh
God.
We could
take it down.
Well,
because
I'm an air. We're both fire signs, too, so we burn shit down.
Yes, there's fire everywhere. And that's the thing is when you came here, y'all, you designed a contract for what you came here to do. Your free will allows you to choose the tracks on which you travel, but the ultimate destination you have pre-designed, okay? And you are here with a very concrete mission for your spirit, to feel and experience very specific things. And when you come in contact with something in a direction you're supposed to move in, there's this tension. There's a point of tension, which is like excitement at the possibility and also fear, which is what you were talking about. And this fear and excitement can feel so much like the same thing. But when you feel that buzzing feeling, this is where you are meant to go. This is where you are meant to travel. I'll give a very short, concrete example of this. I lived in Gainesville, Florida for 7 years. Towards the end of my time there, my gallbladder started acting up, and I knew that I was going to have surgery. I went to my psychic mentor, who I learned everything from, and I had her read for me, and she said, it's time to go back to Miami, which is where I'm originally from. I did not want to go back to Miami. I was like, hell to the no. I'm not going back to Miami. My gallbladder's going to burst right here.
You're dragged out kicking and screaming.
I'm going to stay right here. And then I gave myself a reading and it said the same thing. And then I packed up my shit and left to Miami, kicking and screaming the entire way back. I was so pissed when I got there, I cried for like a week. I'm not even going to lie. In Miami, I made one amazing friend, Jeannie Torres, who is still a super tight friend of mine, like soul sister. I had amazing jobs. I met amazing people. And I reconnected with the person who is now my husband. Today is his birthday. And I hadn't heard from him since middle school. And the only reason we reconnected is because I had moved back to Miami, I had changed my location, and our mutual friends had popped up on our feed. Let that sink in for a hot second of how me going back, what seemed like I was going backwards, reconnected me to a huge love in my life, who is like a rock in my life. It's my life partner. And I was longing for that feeling, and I found it in the least likely place, okay? And this is just one very small example of how sometimes you feel this pushback when you're being directed to go somewhere, even though you feel like it is the right thing for you to do. And if you just go with it and don't make it so painful to get there, you will figure it out why you were asked to do that. But you've got to be willing. You have got to be willing to be humble. Really.
Yeah, so last year, 2016, I was dating a guy, and Shakti's my reader. She does all my readings, and so I reached out to her to do a reading, and she pulled the Tower card, and she's like, "It's not good. This is not the relationship for you." And I felt an immediate punch in my stomach. I was like, "What do you mean? We're making plans to get married, and we're gonna do this." I mean, I had it all planned out. And she said, I don't care. Like, the cards are what they are, and I know, and I see it in the energy. It's not it. And I was stubborn as fuck, and I said, I'm going to make this work. And I told her about all the signs I was seeing. I was telling her about all the moose I was finding.
The
Mises. And eventually it fell apart because I was so disconnected from myself in that relationship. And it didn't matter how uncomfortable. I was so, again, stubborn as fuck. Like, I wasn't willing to give up the relationship, and it got to a point where I was emotionally spiraling out of control. And I talked about this in another video somewhere. I was emotionally spiraling out of control and saying just like the most horrific things to this person. So not being who I am at my core. And so it forced the relationship to end. And had that relationship not ended, like, I would not be living life on the road. But the thing is, it was because of the ending of that relationship, when I really allowed myself to sit with myself and really go inward and ask myself, what do you want? Like, what do you really want? I realized I don't actually want kids. I don't actually want a family. All the things that I thought I wanted, that I was, again, trying to, like, plug in new partners to this vision that I thought that I had, I was like, I don't actually want that. No wonder I've been miserable in all my relationships, because I was working towards something that I didn't fucking want. But I didn't allow myself the time to really go inward and ask myself, what do you want? And then also connect to it. And I wanted to travel. My soul has been wanting to travel for so long. My soul, like, when I'm out on the road driving with the cats, because that's how I roll.
Mewing.
Like, I'm so connected to myself. And it was not comfortable getting to this place.
And it's not comfortable to ask yourself that question, like, what do I actually want?
No.
That's a scary question, you know? Like, when you've been set up your whole life, go to college, do this thing, blah, 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 whatever the setup was in your life, the rules. I'll have to share, Vishen Lakhiani is his name. He talks about rules, and he's brilliant, and he talks about society and having these rules, these bullshit rules that we're expected to fall into, and then we don't want to question them because we're like, I'm so scared of finding out what the truth is. What if I hate this person, or I hate this job, or I don't want to go to college, or whatever? And it's that fear, that unwillingness that keeps us on this bullshit track that wasn't even supposed to be ours to begin with.
You also have to remember, like, you can't fuck it up. And I know that we get so stuck in, like, how things are supposed to be that we're so afraid. That's where the fear comes from. We're so afraid of making a mistake, and, like, you can't make a mistake. And like Shakti talked about earlier, you have multiple paths you can go down, right? And, like, all the paths eventually lead to where it is that you're wanting to go, and it just depends on which path you're choosing to go down. So you know, you can't fuck it up, but it's going to be more painful if you are resisting where your soul is actually wanting to go.
I just want to add that choosing of paths is also true of partners. So we have this misconception that, like, there's one soulmate and then the only soulmate for you in the whole world.
I had to learn this shit from her.
No! That is such bullshit. You have so many soulmates. There are billions of people on this planet. There are so many people that you are well matched for romantically. It is redonkulous.
And soulmates aren't just romantic either.
No, and soulmates sometimes are non-romantic. They're like your closest friends or your closest, like, my twin flame is actually my best friend Sable. She is not even a romantic partner, and she is like me. And the other half of me, literally, when I'm with her, I feel complete, like that level of completion, okay? So you have got so many good matches for you in life, romantically. I'm going to speak specifically romantically. The only choice you have to make is, like, it's like levels. It's like paths. Some paths are going to be real hard. Some paths are going to be easier. Some paths are going to be more ideally suited for who you are and where you want to go. Same thing with partners. Some partners, you're going to have one hell of a time traveling life with them. Some partners are going to be pretty smooth. And then some partners are going to be very well matched for what you came here to accomplish, meaning that both of you are going to be on similar tracks, moving in similar directions, wanting to do similar things on this planet. And those are the partnerships that feel the most aligned, tend to stay together a long time, and tend to accomplish a lot together and feel the most satisfaction. Because it's not because you're in love, and okay, love is chemicals, by the way. That feeling is fucking chemical and it goes away. P.S. It is about alignment. It is about sharing values and sharing a common goal, purpose, wanting to grow yourselves in the same way. If one partner wants to grow internally and the other partner doesn't, there's going to be tension in the relationship and separation. As long as both partners are wanting the same thing and have a same purpose or common goal, you guys are going to stay connected, and that romance is going to stay there because you're sharing these common core values and these common core feelings. That's so important.
And also remembering that relationships are meant to trigger you. Relationships are meant to trigger you to help you grow. Relationships are there. The other person you're in a relationship with, whether it's romantic or platonic, is there to reflect back to you the wounds that you are meant to heal. It's not a matter of fixing anything because you're not broken, but it is a matter of the other person is reflecting back to you wounds that need to be healed. And so when you're in a relationship and you're butting heads and you're rubbing each other the wrong way, you have to remember that it's not that they're doing something and therefore you're a victim, right? And I'm like, it's not a matter of if they wouldn't do this, then I would feel better, right? It's a matter of what are they reflecting back to me? Because whatever they're reflecting back to you, however it's making you feel, that's what needs to be looked at.
It's communication. Again, the willingness to be uncomfortable. It is so hard, you guys, and romantic partnerships are the perfect place to explore this. Mm-hmm. It is so hard when you have this moment of tension with your partner to be like, let me reflect internally. on why I want to punch you in the face. Right. Like, that does not feel organic. Most of the time you're like, oh, I'm going to throw this pot in your face. Why are you so dumb? You know, like, this is like the things that cross our, because we get wounded, and that wound is like an immediate trigger. It's like you just want to hurt back, right? Like, if you get hurt, if a finger is put into your sore, you're just going to want to punch. You're not even going to stop. But that pause between stimulus and response, as Viktor Frankl talks about, that's another book. I'm throwing out all the books today. Man's Search for Meaning, amazing book. That pause between stimulus and response is what makes us human. It's what makes us be the species that we are and be able to evolve the way we can evolve. So, as Anne said, when that happens, just look at that. Get uncomfortable. Back to it. Mm-hmm. If you want a really healthy marriage or healthy relationship, you know what the secret to a long marriage is? I'm going to tell you right now. The secret is your willingness to get uncomfortable. The same shit we're talking about.
Just get it tattooed on your arm. I must be uncomfortable
I'm willing.
all the goddamn time.
I'm willing. I am willing. Your willingness to get uncomfortable and ask difficult questions and get curious about your struggles and get curious about your pain points and get curious about your partner's pain points, your children's pain points. This is essentially what guides you into that deep place of yourself. You know, and it's when I wrote the title to my video in particular, it's like, you know, your willingness to get uncomfortable is it's proportionate to your ability to achieve, which is true. But when I meant achieve, I didn't just mean like societally and materially. I also meant internally. Mm-hmm. How deep you want to know yourself, how much you want to broaden your meditation practice, your connection to self-awareness, your connection to a higher power, your connection to your guidance team. How much you want to do that is directly proportional to how willing you are to get uncomfortable and dive into those very elusive feelings and those very those feelings that make us want to get out of our skin. You know, that's where it is. That's where it is.
It's fucking painful.
It is. We're not gonna lie. We're not gonna be here and be like, it'll be great, do it. It's gonna feel so good. If you're about to leave a relationship, it's probably gonna feel like shit. If you're an addict and you're trying to get out of that, it's gonna feel like shit. If you're about to get on the road and sell your shit, you're probably gonna feel like shit. That is true, but there's nothing wrong with feeling like shit, y'all.
No, and
there's nothing wrong with that.
Shakti and I have both worked through, speaking of addiction again, we've both worked through emotional eating and emotional drinking. And the only way to truly work through emotional eating or emotional drinking or emotional anything or your addiction is to look at, what am I trying to avoid?
Yeah.
What feeling am I not wanting to feel that I'm trying to numb with
the thing,
whatever
the thing is that you chose. There's a thing. What is it?
And people avoid their feelings because they don't want to they don't want to be uncomfortable. So
hopefully you're seeing that the source of a lot of our problems is our unwillingness to get uncomfortable. Literally, the source of addiction, the source of being in bad relationships, the source of not having a fulfilling job, the source of even parenting. Can we talk about parenting real quick? We've been on this video for a long time, but I'm gonna throw this in.
But people are still hopping on.
Yeah.
So.
I'm going to throw this in, okay? Being a parent has been the single most challenging thing I've experienced my entire life. It has been the thing that has made me feel the worst and the best in a day. The span of 12 hours, I've felt both feelings. And I will tell you that so I watched Dr. Shefali's talk. Again, another name. You need to rewind this and watch it rewind. Who has tapes anymore?
Stick it in the VCR. Stick your phone in the VCR. Rewind.
I just dated myself. I still have a VCR.
And you're younger than I am, so what the fuck does that say?
Go back to the beginning.
Get out your typewriter and take notes.
Make sure you have corrective tape.
That's what happens.
No one knows
what happens when we get together.
No one knows what we're talking about. All the young, the 1990s children are what are they even saying?
Sanskrit, typewriters, and VHS, where it's at.
So go back to the beginning of this video, because there's a lot of resources I'm throwing at you at once. Dr. Shefali is an amazing therapist, and she's really into meditation, and she's in mindfulness, and she talks about awakened parenting. Her book is called The Awakened Family, or The Conscious Parent was her first. You're too early. Thanks. Cindy.
We're gonna have to do this after I leave, too.
I know. I was just thinking about...
Shut up, Alex! We're fucking psychic, too. We like to get into each other's brains.
Just thinking about that. True story. So Dr. Shafali talks about how really our job as parents is to awaken to all the triggers that we receive becoming parents. And she believes the greatest gift a child gives a parent is their ability to heal their child wounds, the child within themselves. And children have an exceptional way of showing up in your life and pushing every fucking button you have and making you look at every wound you carry. And that's their job, you guys. So when we get mad at them because they make us upset, because they're throwing a tantrum in public and we are embarrassed, okay? That's happened to me. I know it's happened to you. Your child is...
We have had this conversation.
We're having that conversation again after this.
Yeah.
So your child's throwing a fit in public, they're on the floor, they're screaming, they're dying, and you're like, oh my God. You know the feeling? It doesn't feel good. That feels really uncomfortable. Every parent is looking at you and they're judging the shit out of you because you have that child.
And they're only judging you because they fucking experienced it too.
Exactly.
What's happening is triggering them, which is why they're judging you.
Exactly. So because you care so much about how you're being perceived, you're probably going to yell at your kid and treat them harshly, even though they're 2 and they don't have the cognitive development to understand this is probably not appropriate behavior to be in public. And what we should be doing is getting on their level and just being there for them and stopping what we're doing and just be there for like 2 seconds. Stop resisting the experience. Stop resisting the discomfort. Stop giving a fuck that you're being looked at. Your kid is freaking out. Like, your kid matters. Fuck the lady in aisle 10 who's giving you fucking nasty looks holding a box of rice-a-roni. She doesn't matter.
You should get a shirt that says, fuck you, aisle 10.
She doesn't fucking matter. The rice-a-roni lady does not matter, okay? Your 2-year-old matters more than that lady, all right? So this is pretty much what she's talking about, that children are going to come in, they're going to trigger you, they're going to make you feel really uncomfortable, and your job is to go into those feelings and heal them within yourself so you can be a conscious parent, so you can be present for your children, so you don't repeat the patterns that your parents repeated with you because they were not conscious enough to know that this was a problem. And I so appreciated her saying that. It's like, it was just such a light bulb moment because I see it with my own child. And I think the first few months and maybe the first year of his life, I struggled so much being a mother because I was like resisting everything about being a mother. Breastfeeding hurt like a bitch. I breastfed until he was 11 months. He self-weaned very early. It was so painful. I was so resentful that it was so painful. You know, or him crying and waking me up. I was resisting that experience. Or, you know, breastfeeding in public. I hated doing that. I was resisting that experience. You know, it was like I was just constantly resisting, and it was exhausting, and it made the first year of his life a lot less pleasurable than if I had just appreciated it for what it was and been like, you know what, this is going to be a hard year. This is going to be tough. I have to go into the acceptance of who he is and what being a new mother is like.
Because your entire life changed.
Yeah.
And change is not comfortable.
No, it's not. And, you know, he wasn't a planned child. He was a surprise for our family, and that was fine. He's the perfect addition to our family, and I adore him. But I needed to know, again, another dark night, another moment of transition, of discomfort, what it was like to really feel the resistance. And now that I'm so much more accepting of who he is, even when he's like struggling and having a really hard time, I mentally am in a healthier place because I'm not so resistant to that discomfort.
And you take care of yourself.
And I do take care.
I mean,
I
self-care
take very
is
good care of myself.
100% of what we teach.
Shakti, that is exactly how I parent. My kids are most important priority. The bitch in Elton can kiss my ass. Yes. But that takes a certain level of consciousness. And it's like the only reason, and this is not to crap on any parent, because parenting is hard. First of all, if you have a child, you deserve a fucking gold medal to begin with. It's that we have to be willing to look at our own triggers, and that's not an easy thing to do. I understand that's not easy. It is hard to be an awakened parent. It is hard to want a better reality for your child than what you experience. It takes an exceptional amount of grit and grace combined to be able to make that happen. So if you're trying at all, congratulations. You deserve all the gluten-free vegan cakes.
But it's also important to remember that this is not a journey that you can do it on your own, right? You can do this growth on your own, but it's really, really, really hard to look at your own triggers, to be that aware and conscious, to be able to reflect back to yourself and look at your own triggers, which is why working with someone is incredibly important.
Yeah, having community is really important. Having a mentor or having community, like, I mean, I don't do what Anne does. Anne does one-on-one coaching for clients, which is brilliant and exactly what she is designed to do. I work in a community around fitness, and for me, fitness is my tool. But I always say that fitness is like, it's the trap. it's how I get people. I'm like, you want to get fit? Yes, come here. You know, because then what happens when they get into a community of supportive people is like, wow, I've never felt so supported in my life. Wow, I've never felt so loved in my life. I've never felt so seen in my life. And so that encourages to keep doing the healing work beyond the fitness. It encourages them to do the mindset work, to do the spiritual work. And because again, how you do anything is how you do everything. It spills into every area of your life. So essentially, Anne and I do the same job on different worlds.
We do the same job in different worlds. And I started off as a fitness coach. I started off, you know, with where Shakti is. And I incorporate fitness into what I do because you have to be nourishing your body.
Every level.
You know, so it is body, mind, and soul. And I never, like, clients get pissed at me when I say, yep, you got to do some sort of physical activity and you have to be nourishing your body with food because otherwise the shit I teach you doesn't work.
It's true. It's not all separate, you guys. It's not separate. You can't function in the mind and then separate yourself from your heart. And honestly, the crisis of our nation I'm speaking of the U.S., the crisis of our nation is the separation of head and heart. Mm-hmm. The crisis of our nation is that we have overvalued the intellectual capabilities that we have as humans, which is ridiculously limited compared to the intuitive capabilities that we have as human beings. We've overvalued this, we've undervalued this, and now we have an entire society of people running around thinking from here, not from here, disconnected, anxious, unwilling to get uncomfortable, overeating, overmedicated, addicted, shitty relationships, abuse, gunfire everywhere. Like, what the fuck is going on? And that is a side effect of this massive separation and an overvaluing of this property and undervaluing of this.
Yep. I say that every like the foundation of what I teach is self-love and self-care, and the reason it's self-love and self-care is because, like Shakti said, everything that's currently going on can be resolved, I believe, can be resolved by simply connecting to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom. Like, that's it. That is the foundation of everything. Like, everything else that is being argued about right now is a fucking Band-Aid. Everything else is a fucking Band-Aid. And so we don't want to see things fall apart because we keep trying to apply these Band-Aids. When the reality is that what we really need is to each reconnect to the truth of who we are. Right. Because we're spiritually one anyway.
Which is, this is why, I mean, Buddha taught what Buddha taught, right? Like, if you want to change the world, change yourself. Mm-hmm. If you want to really affect the consciousness of the world, change your consciousness. Because everything stems from your consciousness. And the more we become globally conscious, the more our experience of reality shifts. And that's so incredibly true. And what we need more of is the support systems in place to help people connect to themselves. That's really what we need more of. We need to put more energy into community spaces, into environments like your group coaching that you offer, or my fitness community that I have. Environments that support that kind of safe space to be seen and heard and witnessed, so that you don't feel disconnected, isolated, separated, which is what leads to these really chaotic and traumatic experiences.
Yep.
So we've been talking for a long time. I don't even know how long this has been, but I imagine it's like an eternity in Facebook video land. So does anybody have any questions while we're on here? Like,
or anything specifically that you're working through?
Anything we can help you unpack. We're really good unpackers.
This is what I
stretch it out. Get those triceps ready. Oh, they're so sore. My whole body. When I got up, I went to go get water. I was like, I'm dying immediately.
We're doing the same workout program, which is death.
So abs booty death.
Straight up death. I was like, my legs, but my whole body, I can't walk.
We're on day 40. I feel amazing though, honestly. Like, I feel the most
It's the most
fit.
alive I've ever felt.
Yeah, definitely the most fit I've ever felt, but it is sore. That is the truth. Soreness is real. I see is that a tag request? I don't know what that button's doing.
Yeah, but
or
I don't
someone
know.
wants to ask a question.
No, that's it.
Anything you're currently experiencing that you're like, how do I do a thing?
How do I do a thing?
How do I do a thing? Or how do I change an experience? Or how do I really want you guys to write down every single book I've mentioned in this talk. And I'm going to throw another one at you now. It's the one I just did a book club on, which is The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Amazing book.
The book that I'm going to recommend is Tears to Triumph by Marianne Williamson,
one.
which is all about the importance of feeling your feelings.
Hey, another one of my cousins hopped on. My family is so supportive. I gotta say, I have like the best cousins on the entire planet. They all hop on my videos and like participate. Always. It is great.
It's fun to do these together because then we get to like interact with other people's
I
people.
know.
Each other's people.
Each other's people. What's up? Well, we don't have any questions on the screen, so thank you guys for hopping on with us and being willing to experience yourself experiencing this talk. It's probably triggering in a lot of ways, and that's kind of the plan.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
We're really good at triggering you in the best way possible.
It's good for you, like your parents used to say. You'd get mad.
Well, I always say where you're triggered is where the work is. So if you're getting triggered, it's because there's something to be looked at.
For sure.
We're actually going to do, speaking of podcasts, I have a podcast called Own Your Vibe. So if you haven't subscribed, it's on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. But I've asked Shakti to join me on one of my episodes. So we're going to actually do one on the Dark Night of the Soul. But I'm sure that we'll be doing more videos as well because we work really well together.
Yes, it's good. We enjoy this. This is fun. So thank you guys so much for hopping on. We love you guys. I always say at the end of my videos, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. So important that we remember that. So have a fantastic Friday.
Also, where can they find each of us?
Where can we find each of us?
Where?
So I will type it. We will type it in each other's comment boxes. But my Facebook page, professional page, is Spirit Fit Shakti, like my name. Or you can find me on shaktirios and on my personal page. You're welcome to join me there as well. I do have a website, shaktirios.com as well.
Yeah, my business page is Ann Livingston Coaching. My website is annlivingstoncoaching.com. And then
there we are.
Personal page is Ann Livingston, and we're tagged. So
yes.
We are available. If anyone is interested in anything, just reach out.
All right. Have a great one, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.